Pre-season is out of the way and we have got all the cars and drivers sorted into their classes, so now finally we can go racing once more. Hello and welcome to the TSRC PC GT3 Series, newly brought to you on the TSRC YouTube channel as well as the JP Broadcasting channel. So hello to wherever you may be watching on and from. My name is Kelsey Gill and alongside me is Mr. Zach Sweeney, and of course bringing you all of the action is one Mr. Kieran Sharp. Zach, it's season 6 of the TSRC PC GT3 series, and you and I are quite well versed now, I'd say, with this series of racing, and I'm quite excited in all honesty. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this series is essentially my bread and butter. It's basically taken up a good 70%, I reckon, of my Thursdays for the last over a year and about 13 months. Of time, which is a long time. It's probably the longest time I've been involved with a single series. So yeah, this place definitely got a special place in my heart, and definitely looking forward to kickstarting the 6th season of racing action here. And we take to a very legendary circuit at the circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. We've got a huge field, as you can see, spanning all the way across the screen. You know, 23 plus cars, I believe. Yeah, all the way down. Well, blimey, we have got a few cars, let's put it that way. A lot of different drivers, new, old, returning, ready to battle it out around some legendary venues to take the Season 6 crown. They've had their pre-season tests, the cobwebs have been wiped off, and, well, we get to go again, and, well, it's a clean slate, and what are we in store for?
Yeah, we certainly do. I'm just having a look. I think it's about 40 drivers. I don't know if everyone's out on the circuit, but I'm just looking at my data in front of me, and that's the numbers that I'm reading. But yes, our venue tonight then is the one and only Spa-Francorchamps, a fantastic racetrack nestled within the Ardennes of Belgium. 7.004 kilometers and 20 corners make up a lap of this track, going at phenomenal speeds from La Source all the way up Al Rouge and Radion, down the Kemmel, up the Kemmel Straight, I should say, and into Les Combes. Then we go into the twistier Sector 2, going through Brussels and then into No Name. Then there's Pouon, or you can call it Double Gauche if you wish. Then through Campos and through Stavelot to begin one more high-speed sprint through Blanchimont, and then around the bus stop to finish a lap. An iconic track tonight, Zach, which we've already discussed that there's many corner names and layouts, well, at least names for the corners for it, but I think the drivers are going to have a lot of fun as well as us tonight.
Yes, and the corner names that aren't the ones that come out of my mouth are the ones that are wrong. No, of course there are a lot of different variations in terms of the corner names here at Spa, which is fascinating, and I think it speaks a lot about sort of, well, sort of to geek out a bit, it speaks a lot about linguistics and things, you know, different slang in different territories. You know, you go 10 minutes down the road, you change from Waitrose to Asda, you go from Pret-a-Manger to Greggs, and you also go through 50 different accents in the UK. And it's the same sort of with corner names at Spa. Whoever you talk to, they've got their own little variations. They'll call this Rivage, which is the right one. Then they'll call this the speaker's corner. But then you speak to me and I say that's Rivage, and then the one after that is no name corner. And then they'll go, well, the one after that is the double gosh. And I'll say, no, it's not, it's Puon. And there are so many different variations. So it's weird, it's fascinating. But again, it just depends who you are, where you've come from, your background in sim racing, and motor racing, I suppose, and obviously who you've surrounded yourself with, who has influenced you into those corner names. Could just be the first set you've heard. Could be the one that flows the nicest, or the ones that sound the coolest. But yeah, very interesting sort of display in terms of the corner names themselves. But no matter what you call them, they are all very, very difficult. All 7 kilometers and 4 meters, I believe, worth of corners. And plenty of action along the way as well, especially in GT3 machinery, I find. While Spa, probably one of the most overused circuits in sim racing. Obviously, that's a topic for another day. It doesn't change the fact that it is a brilliant circuit that will bring brilliant racing.
Well, it's iconic, isn't it? It's one of those tracks that you can't really skip off. It's probably one of the oldest circuits in motorsports history, I suppose. This dates back all the way to at least the 1950s, maybe even later than that, back when Formula One was in its infancy, of course, and the highest rates of safety technology were a few hay bales to stop drivers from hurting themselves, which definitely didn't work. And I'm so very glad that in the world of virtual racing, nobody can get hurt, except maybe emotionally, of course, if you have a particularly bad day. But the fact that safety measures in motorsport in the real world are so much more advanced now that we see far less lives lost in the sport. However, there is still, of course, this track has had a few of them, which we all remember those drivers all the time. Every time we come here, we'll keep those names sort of in a special place for us, I think, Zach. But we're gonna enjoy the racing tonight, I think, and it's gonna be some good stuff to open off this great season.
Indeed, yes. Of course, the season ahead is a long one. Well, not really. It's the same as we always had for the TSRC, but in terms of a championship, it's a long road ahead. But in terms of time, not so much. We've got 6 weeks of racing action, as we always do. We start here in Spa. In a week's time, we'll head to the Nürburgring Imola for round 3. Donington Park will play host for a return to the UK for sprint racing. That's round 4. Watkins Glen and Kyalami to round off the season. So again, 6 tracks that have all played host to a TSRC round in the past. No new surprises in terms of the calendar this season, which means that in theory we should have the absolute pinnacle of racing. There are no new tracks to learn. Everyone who has participated in the TSRC has been there sort of at least once. Everyone's sort of got that experience. Yes, we've got a couple of new people into the mix, so maybe they could throw a spanner into the works. But yeah, it's just going to be, I think, a battle of champions. Again, just look on out there on the grid, looking over the top. Well, top of everyone, actually. I don't think I can even see a TSRC champion. So I take back what I said, actually. It might not well be the season of champions. It could be the season that we crown a new champion, potentially so. I mean, we've got Lars Troy. He was, of course, an AM champion a couple of seasons ago, or a silver champion a couple of seasons ago. But in terms of out-and-out pro champions, I can't actually see any of them out there on the circuit. Bailey Thompson, though, is an interesting prospect. You can see him leading the way at the top of the timer sheets. But there we go. There are a couple of our champions. We've got Dominic Aligna, the reigning champion, coming into today. But apart from that, I don't see the likes of Sir Smoggy. I don't see Jamie Nuttall. I don't see who else has won. Brugnara as well, also took the championship win as well. So I'm not seeing some big names, which is fairly surprising. So I think Dominic Aligna is going to have his work cut out for him, because as I was saying about Bailey Thompson, we've got a huge new talent, a huge new surprise to the field, because he's a quick guy. So Dominic Aligna, I think if he wants to maintain the championship that he so dominantly took over the course of Season 5, he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, he certainly does, and he's, well, not out on the track at the moment, it looked like, but yeah, it looks like some of the familiar faces are perhaps on a bit of a hiatus this season, or just didn't get round to signing up perhaps, but you still lots of familiar faces. Maurice Stryker's still out there on the circuit in his striking liveried car. And then actually, I'm just sort of looking through Stuart Prize there. Of course, the most controversial name on the grid, Samuel Chumley, going to be the TSRC PC GT3 Series without Jack Southfield out on the track. I wonder what car he's wrangling around this season. James Wright, of course, and Dominic Ligner and Elias Troy all back. I mean, I don't know all of the faces, but most of these names are fairly new to me, and it should be a very good evening of racing as we look then to the timing tower as we're getting into the closing stages of the qualifying session. Here's Marcel Hess. That's got a nice little livery on the Porsche, a nice little 50-50 splitter, the blue and I think a darker blue or a black, if you want to call it like that, in the number 46 Porsche. Goes third for the AM Championship at the moment, and it's looking like a good session though. It's a long lap around here, Zach. You've really got to hone yourself in and get into a bit of a flow, I think. And I think just because it's such a you're in a fast section for the first sector, then you slow it down a little bit to go through the twistier sector 2, then you've got to speed it back up again. You've really got to hone into this circuit, I think, to get a good lap time.
Yeah, it's a long one. Of course, there's a lot of time to make up time. There's also a lot of opportunities to lose time. You know, more corners therefore equal more opportunity to gain or lose because you're in control for more of the lap. But it also means that you physically can't get as many into the session because you're limited. You've only got 15 minutes. You've got what are we doing? 2 minute 15 laps. So you've got an out lap, a flying lap. Maybe you can go for 2 or 3 flying laps. Then obviously you're already pretty much 10 minutes through the session, and then you're into the final lap or so of the qualifying session. So not really that much time. Whereas if you go to a circuit like maybe just looking on the calendar over the course of the season, maybe Donington Park, where it's a little bit a lot shorter, you're going to be able to fit in more lap times. You're going to get more acclimatized to the circuit. You're going to feel more comfortable. Whereas here at Spa, sort of if you mess up a lap, it's a long wait before you're able to go again. You've then also got that pressure building up that you don't want to make that same mistake again. So it's a tricky one for sure to hook up a lap time, but it's a satisfying one. To put in a good lap time around Spa, to take pole position around Spa, yeah, it's definitely something special.
Yeah, it certainly is. And one thing you've also got to factor in when you're going out for a quali lap is the pit lane. It's so much longer than it would be in, let's say, Formula One or any of those sort of single-seater categories of racing. That's the pit exit. That's Degani has just passed there, where you come on to the Kemmel straight and straight down towards Lake Om. It's a very long one, and one thing you will not want to do, you'll want to avoid at all costs, is getting a drive-through penalty during the race, because you will be in the pit lane for a very long time, or at least it will feel like it behind the wheel of the car. I can't exactly say how long it is you lose, Zach. You'll have to update me on that, but it's a very long time in the pit lane around Spa.
Yes, so obviously for those unfamiliar with ACC, basically what you do is you go in there at the Grand Prix pit lane, you do that, and then you get to the pit lane exit, and you think, oh brilliant, you can turn off the pit limit. No, you can't. No. Of course you can't. Why would you? We're at the endurance layout, mate. That's not how things work. So you can see on the exit there, you've got them lovely little bollards. They're solid. They block the pit lane from the rest of the track. You then trundle your way to the endurance pit lane, you run your way through that, and then you go uphill, and you emerge at the top of Eau Rouge and Rallion. And that's then when you can finally disengage your pit limiter and start going flat out again. So it's a very long pit lane. You've got to be so incredibly careful to not get a drive through. The pit lane sequence itself is going to be, you know, massively interesting in terms of who can maximize their time with, you know, stopping in their box, braking for the pit lane itself, disengaging the pit limiter. So many different variables here at Spa, and yeah, be careful track limits, because it will cost you. It will probably, well, I say probably going to ruin your race. It will ruin your race. Absolutely will ruin your race. 40 minutes of racing action in store for us, and you'll probably lose near on a minute just from going down the pit lane alone. I don't care who you are, mate. You're not making that up in 40 minutes.
No, certainly not. And I should say good evening, Ria, in the chat as well. We have noticed you there, and everybody else currently watching along. It's nice to have you all here and watching the racing along with us. We've got a minute and 13 seconds left of qualifying. I've noticed Dominic Aligna's out on the track, opting to only put in one fast lap. Luca Raya perhaps doing the same thing in the 33 Audi as he's going around the circuit for what will be the final time this evening. I don't think Samuel Chumley's going to come out and do a lap. I'm not sure what his strategy is during the session. So it's, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a bit of an interesting final few moments in qualifying. We'll see what Raya can do. We'll see what the other drivers have got out there. But it's a risky one, isn't it, Zach, with Aligna opting to just do one lap. If you make that mistake, you're really going to pay for it.
Pressure, a lot of pressure. I always say, especially at longer circuits, get a lap time in. Get something that you can compare to. Get a delta up. I don't care if it's 2 seconds off the pace. Have something just to put your mind at ease and alleviate that pressure off that final lap, because it means that you are gonna be able to push to your limit and be able to, you know, not care as much, because you know you've got a solid foundation. Lay the foundations in the first half of the qualifying session, then give it some beans, then start going flat out, then go within millimeters of the track limits, and then start pushing the absolute limits. As Luca Raya across the line, only 34th overall, so we will see what, of course, Dominic Aligna can do. He has won here at Spa before, I think all the way back to the season 2 finale, I think it was, where he won here in the wet. So he definitely knows his way around the legendary circuit, and he should, in theory, be quite quick. But you know, even the best sometimes make mistakes, and it's easy to do so. Running wide here at P1, you know, taking too much speed in, extending the track at La Source, or cutting at the top of Evolution Radion. That is a very small mistake, can lead to a huge consequence just by leaving everything to the final lap. And especially in a championship where there's only 7 races, if you mess up one, especially with a big grid like this, it could be costly in the championship.
Yeah, it certainly could, and it's, well, we're going to see the effect of that now. We're finishing qualifying. The time is over, so anyone left out on the track will be able to finish a lap, as is the way of things in ACC. Let's see, Bruno Zanchi coming across the line in a Porsche, the number 8 car. Can he improve his position of P number 4? He can. Goes into the top 3, only a few hundredths of a second behind Sharon in the number 31 Ferrari. Let's see who else is out. This is Marcel Hess in the Porsche that I do quite particularly like out there. I do love some of the liveries and the creativity from the drivers out there. Let's see what he can do in the AMs. Can he get himself anywhere closer towards Mav Gardner? No, he backs off on that lap, and he will not be improving this one. How about Thomas Rorik in the number 37 machine through the final corner? Focus on that exit all the way down to the line. Where can the number 37 car find himself on the grid? It's P18 for Rorik.
Yeah. Not a bad lap time by any means, but obviously would like to go a little bit quicker. D'Or across the line in his Audi R8. 10th place overall, not a bad shout whatsoever, but 2 seconds off pole. Then again, you say that Bailey Thompson is a second clear of the rest of the field himself. Graham Kerr across the line, doesn't even cross the line. That's the end of qualifying, and well, I'm looking forward to this race.
Yes, it should be a good one then, with Bailey Thompson taking the top spot in qualifying and lining up alongside Sharon on the front row of the grid. Then we have Zanchi, then Casali, then we got Jack Southfield in P5, then there is Alexei Degani, then we have Austin, then there's Kerr, then there's Quinton van Vingerden, then we have De Ohar rounding off the top 10, then there's Elias Troyer, Maurice Stryker, Mav Gardner, Violetto, there's Philippe Irtaj, then we have Hall Rovic, the other Sharon in the 16 Ferrari, then there is Hess, Hewlett, Leparati in P22 as we continue to slip down the grid there. There we go. Then there's Cisco, Ryan Blanchett in 24. Then there's Martini, Wright, Gamello, Zampieri, Kayala, Pryor, McGowan, Atucha, Giliardi, Ria, Miller, Passanisi, Borelli, Brown, Eligna, and Chumley. Both, interestingly, at the very back of the grid, Zach.
Yeah, 2 big names, of course. Very peculiar. I'll give it that much. That is, of course, going to be a big statement going into the into the race, of course, two potentially championship favourites with Eligna and Chumley. They're big names, they're fast drivers, and they're starting at the back, 39th and 40th. It's a long road ahead. No matter how quick they are going to struggle because maybe they are quicker than everyone else ahead of them. No, I don't doubt that. They probably are. They're probably two of the quickest drivers on the grid. But the sheer amount of volume in terms of drivers they're going to have to overtake, the amount of carnage they're going to have to avoid, I wouldn't want to be them at the moment. I'm sure they're going to have fun fighting their way through. But to start a championship, starting from the back of the field, that is that's risky.
Yeah, it certainly is, and with all the new drivers on there as well. I mean, I know we've had a couple of pre-season races. There was the pre-season which we covered last week. That was at Barcelona, and then I think there was the other race. I can't remember what they called it, but it was there. I can look that up for you now, actually, so that I'm getting all of my facts
Evaluation
straight.
race,
Races. The evaluation race. There we go.
classification.
That's the one. Looking over that, but yeah, or classification, whichever one you want to put it. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one from the two of them, as they're gonna have to be fighting their way through other cars, and perhaps they want to give everyone else a chance out there on the grid, perhaps. But if I was a racing driver, I'd want to be out as far up the front as possible. I think Jack Southfield's changed his number, Zach. He's 99 now. I think he used to be 64 for a while. But he's car number 99. Now he's in a Lamborghini this season, so we'll see if that serves him better than the Bentley that he was in the season before. But we're off and underway for the formation lap, Zach. And what's going on then with the drivers? What are they doing? It's the first race of the season. How are they getting themselves ready to go into a full 7-race season over the next 6 weeks?
Well, it's difficult to prepare for the season ahead, and Handsome Stu, I'm flattered, I know, in the YouTube chat, and don't worry, I won't. It's confidential. It's okay. I don't want to hurt his feelings, so we're all good. Everything is safe. I very much do take the compliment. It's very much appreciated, and I know that you're being serious. It's all good. I'm flattered. Thank you. Anyway. My ego isn't that big, by the way. I am only having a laugh, right? I'm not that big-headed. I can walk through doors. Anyway, Kelsey will tell you. He knows full well. I'm a very humble guy. But anyway, the drivers themselves are preparing. Obviously, they're going to be trying to warm up the tyres, the brakes. That's the obvious thing, building up pressure, building up temperature in order for the brakes to actually work efficiently and for the tyres to be able to withstand the lateral loads. That's the physical side of things. That's prepping the car to be able to start the race well. But there's also the other half, which is the mental preparation, and I don't think it's something that's talked about enough. We've all been there at the start of a sim race, whether it's a league race or just an open lobby or whatever it is, and you're rolling up to the grid and you feel your hands start to shake, you feel your palms start to sweat. Maybe your arms start to get heavy. I don't know, whatever it is, right? And you get nervous. Of course you get nervous. Your adrenaline spike and you're about to enter this competitive environment. So what do? Do you ride the wave with the adrenaline? Do you use that to hype yourself up? Do you force yourself to calm down? It depends what type of driver you are. If you're more of that calm, composed type of driver, then you try and bring it back down to earth. You try and slow your heart rate down, and you chill, you relax, you get yourself in a nice, calm mindset. If you're that driver though that wants to start out, get out the gates and just start punching, right? You're then going to be riding that adrenaline. You might have a nice song in your ear. You might be singing along. You might, I don't know, go and give your grandma a hug, whatever it is, just to ride the wave and boost your hype. Those are two different ways that you can prepare. It's either calm and composed, or I'm going to go into turn one flat out and take the inside line. Whatever it is, whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you. But you have to give yourself a target, I think, is the most important thing. That's something that I always liked to prepare with. Set myself a target. If I'm 5th, sweet, I want to be 4th by the end of the first lap. Or if I'm 3rd, I want to get myself maybe into the lead by the end of the first lap. Whatever it is, set yourself a target. Give yourself something to focus on, because at the start of the race, you've got we've got 39 other cars all around you. You've got a difficult circuit. You've got a new season. And you've got to find something to focus on, because your brain cannot handle all of these things, right? It's near on impossible. But when you get to say, okay, let's look at it in isolation. I'm in 4th place. That's cool. This is any other race. I'm going to get into third place. It gives your mind something to fixate on. It gives yourself something to prepare and focus with. But yeah, I'm sure these guys know what they're doing, especially the likes of Thompson and Sharon at the front of the field, because these two setting some blisteringly quick lap times, especially Bailey Thompson over the course of qualifying, nearly a second clear of the rest of the field. He's going to be looking pretty good going into this race, and well, if I was Sharon, it would be get myself ahead of Thompson so that, you know, he doesn't run away.
Yeah, it could be a bit of a scrap on the cards between Thompson and Sharon in the top two in these opening stages of the race, as we start slowing things down now, getting the drivers lined up next to each other and ready to go racing. Handsome Stew or Eminem in the chat is what I'm asking. Zach started off the song and finished it off, but we've got one more corner to navigate before we get the green flags and the go-ahead to go racing. Number 12, Bailey Thompson leading the raid. Then there's Sharon, Zanchi, Casali, Degani, Southfield, Austin, Kerr, Vingerden and Troyer, your top 10 for this race. We are but moments away from the green flags here in Spa in Belgium, and we are waiting to go racing to get this season kicked off. It's all in the hands of the man in the McLaren, going around La Source now, and the line just approaching, waiting to go. They're all raring to go. Look at them speeding up, slowing down. Can't wait for the Radeon pile-up, says Andrew Pike. Let's hope not, as we've got 40 cars here ready to go racing at Belgium. We are just moments away from the green flags. When are they going to go? What's the carnage that's going to ensue on the green lap? There we go. We're green. We're off for this race. Side by side is Thompson and Sharon. Up Al Rouge and Radeon now. Looks like Sharon's got the jump as he goes up ahead. Cuts over the curb a little bit too much perhaps, but gets into the lead of this race now. Thompson's going to have to watch out for Zanchi just behind, and Casali's trying to find a way through as well. In the Ferrari, the top four all sort of jostling, but it's Sharon who leads them into Laycom, and is it Thompson diving down the inside? It's not. It's some close racing in his opening lap, Zach.
It is indeed a perfect start for Sharon, a very intriguing one as well, and a vital one as well, of course, for the Ferrari driver. That means he's establishing control, he's establishing dominance, and he is not allowing the pole sitter to get away. Jack Southfield looking to go to the inside of Ravage. Of course, it is the dominant line, but the Mercedes of Degani keeping his footing around the outside, going into no name. Jack Southfield trying to, and there's contact, and the Mercedes is sent sideways. Jack Southfield controversially picks himself up in a fifth.
Yeah, he does. That's a little bit scrappy there from Jack Southfield. He's not too adverse to a move like that, but he certainly gets up the place as well. Stewards might give him a bit of a talking to after the race, but here is Graham Kerr looking for a way around Austin in the number 23 machine as they make their way through Sector 2. Now this is the Campos chicane, or whichever corners you really want to call it. I'm going to be calling it Campos for the duration of this 40-minute race. But Kerr trying to make his way through. Here's Philippe as well. He's leading the way for the AMS in the 96 machine. Or the timing tower would have had you assume that, but it's actually Mav Gardner now as it updates going through the sector now.
Yeah, of course, ACC, one of my favourite sims to commentate on. Absolutely love the amount of information we get on the timing tower. Oh my goodness me, but we do not need the timing tower to see the absolute atrocity that has just happened there. Petruccio Gameo bouncing onto the track. There's even more carnage. There's contact up and down. And oh my goodness,
it's one of the leaders off as well.
To end your first race of the season. I think it might well have been there. You can go Dior going off into the burst-up chicane. He had a little bit of a wide moment. He's up into 11th place. Elias Stroy picks his way past into 10th, but plenty of carnage in the opening moments. And I suppose that's what you get when you get 40 cars onto a grid.
Yeah, it does, and it's some scrappy stuff at the moment, but it looks like it's perhaps settling down at least toward the front for now. It looks like the top three have broken away. They're about they're 2.3 seconds up the road from Jack Southfield, who has now found himself in fourth. I think one of the leaders did in fact go off. I want to say that was, I don't know who that was actually. I'm going to have to try and look that up as we go, but there's some carnage going on. I think Thompson he's pushing Sharon through Lake Common, now through Malmedy as they come down the hill in towards Brussels, and he's really looking racy in that McLaren, trying to find a way past is number 12, very deep from Sharon. That's going to invite the McLaren straight down the inside. Now they're side by side as they come into No Name. It might be the better line for the McLaren. It goes a little bit wide, but gets the position done, and that's a change for the lead.
It is indeed Bailey Thompson once again finding himself back, leading another race. He did it in such dominant fashion a week ago when we went to Barcelona for the pre-season race. And now he's doing it once again, replicating said success in Spa. Yuval Sharon, it was a good run. And again, a good start, as I say, establishing dominance, establishing control. But Bailey Thompson had it covered. He has picked his way past. And again, a brilliant move, great respect given. But if Bailey Thompson doesn't get attacked soon, I would fear that he's going to run away with this victory. The slipstream should, in theory, keep Sharon sort of in contention. But again, how he needs to step up. He needs to get a little bit quicker. Further back, we've got Manuel Leporati for the Spa-Francorchamps Porsche. On the back of Ryan Blanchette, of course, for P22. So much action up and down. This is, of course, for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth in class, because I can count. Just in behind Ryan Blanchette. So yeah, plenty of action in order to talk about. Again, we're talking through 2 races, the pros and the AMs, let's not forget. So Leporati in that Porsche, not a car known for its straight line speed, probably going to struggle a little bit around Spa. Well, ladies and gentlemen, of course, apologies for a couple of technical difficulties. We are having a couple of teething issues coming into the new season. We've got side-by-side moments. We did see a crash not too long ago as well, going up Eau Rouge and Radion. We will get these sorted as soon as possible. Of course, our audio capture platform not being ideal as it stands. A couple of mishaps and laggy moments, not enabling for clear as day communication. But Leighton Austin fighting away with Degani. This is for the top 5 overall in the race. We've got Austin now on the inside of the very vibrant Pulse Simsport Ferrari 296 into the Piff-Paff chicane through Piff. He's got the inside then for Paff, but Degani not giving it up without a fight, trying to use the lack of agility, I suppose, on that Mercedes to go around the outside, going into the Piff-Paff chicane. No way through for now. Well defended from the 23 machine. But yeah, just wanted to keep it fully transparent with you guys at home watching along on both the TSRC YouTube channel and, of course, on the JP Broadcasting. You should subscribe to both, by the way. Obviously, that goes without saying. Dominic Alignot on his charge through the field is up into 35th. He's trying to make it 34th, fighting away with the triple one of Samuel Chumley. They shared the final row of the grid together. There's a Lamborghini off on the on the grass at Piff-Paff as well. As Dominic Alignot making some steady, but not steady enough work through the field as it stands. But as I say, just again, just trying to be transparent with you all, making sure that you're all aware of the issues and anything that's going on, and to hopefully deliver you the best broadcasting quality possible. We've still got 33 minutes left to go of this race, and we've still got Graham Kerr and Quinten van Wingerden to fight it out over 7th.
Yeah, they are. It looks like Graham Kerr was all in the back of that Porsche. Gets a little bit too wide onto the sausage curb at the exit of La Source. That's not going to help his run up through Eau Rouge and Radion on this occasion. That will give Van Wingerden a little bit of breathing space now as they come down towards the Kemmel Straight, but the slipstream is very potent along this section of the track. And look at the closing speed of Kerr. There's a crash along the back. Oh no, oh, it's collecting more and more cars. Be careful, chaps. It's blind. Oh, there's another contact bit there. Oh, don't do it again. Oh my word.
And right, a little bit, you know, just a touch, just a small little wee bit. Right, okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is the right. What a way to kickstart the season. I'll be honest, I'm taken aback because that's not usually what happens in these races. We don't really see much carnage and chaos. But Spa, difficult circuit, a lot of new drivers, a lot of inexperienced drivers out on track, and small mistakes can equate to big consequences, especially through Eau Rouge and Radion. But yeah, right, wow, there we go, we move. I suppose there's not really much more to do about that. It was just the chain reaction. One car spins, collects another, They don't really have much control over their car themselves. I'm sure they smacked onto the brakes to try and slow it down. But when a car wants to go spitting out into the middle of the track, it's going spitting out into the middle of the track. Blind over the crest, can't react, even if you're Spider-Man. Unfortunately, none of these guys are, unless, well, they might be, we don't know. Maybe they're just really good at hiding their secret identity. It could well be any of them. They could be the next Spider-Man, but I doubt they have got the spider senses. Anyway, I'm waffling along. Samuel Chumley is trying on quite nicely up into P28, making some very good progress. Dominic Ligner, I think, involved in that crash, Kelsey.
Yeah, I think he must have been. He's in the pits, so he's going into perhaps repair some damage. Hopefully not tyre. That would be a shame for the defending champion. But yes, he's having a bit of fun out there. Someone else having a bit of fun is perhaps Fabio Gilardi, who is chasing down the number 44 car of Miller for P number 26. These two having their own little fight a little bit further down the grid in the AM Championship. But yes, not always what we have here at TSRC. And the other rally on up to the hill. You're practically blind until you crest that. It's one of those things. It's part of the track, and when you've got cars pinging onto the circuit at that sort of speed, I'm lucky actually. And again, another good thing in the virtual world is that those sorts of crashes would be rather fatal actually. So we're glad there's no injuries to anybody or even a chance to actually do that, because there is no chance. But I'm waffling. Anyway, let's see what else is going on. There's AJ Austin in a little fight. I think he's with Garni and Jack Outfield. There's a train of cars here, all battling for P number 4. I think Van Vingeren and Kerr in the background as well. They're towing on Striker and Troyer as well. They might catch on to this fight if it erupts a little bit, but this could be a nice little fight in amongst pros as well. Looks like Thompson's checked out of the race, and Toronto's got Casali for company in the top 3.
I think so. Yeah, so it's a very interesting race. Very good start, of course, to it. We're having some interesting chats on YouTube chat, by the way. We've got, who do we think is the Spider-Man of the TSRC? I reckon it's Jack Southfield, because he can't also cover up the ginger hair. No, because he puts on the mask, he covers up the ginger hair. No one then can make fun of him because they can't see who he is. It's perfect, right? Surely.
Possibly, I don't know. I mean, some of the reaction times of Jack Southfield in recent times, it's not been the most Spider-Man. I suppose. I mean, it's a good cover story, isn't it? Very cover story.
And also, we're apparently, which is great. I've never watched Star Wars, so I don't know. Let's, of course, hope that things can go back to normal. Again, apologies, ladies and gentlemen, to your poor souls that have to listen to both myself and Kelsey absolutely chat rubbish for a little while. Hopefully, the audio issues themselves are going to be resolved as soon as possible. But what we have noticed, Kelsey, is the pit window is open.
Yes, it is. So they've now got this time to come into the pits and perhaps change some tyres, or maybe not take tyres, and just, you know, it's going to open up a window for some strategy, I think. Do you undercut? Do you overcut other drivers? When are you going to come in? What are you thinking now at this stage of the race, Zach? What are they doing in that cockpit for this 20 minutes? What would you do, let's say, depending on your position, of course?
My position wouldn't be very high. Saying that, actually, half of my championships have been won on ACC. I've got 2 championships on Assetto Corsa Competizione. They were a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now, actually, I think, close to. But I have done it. So there we go. I'm the best man to speak to. I'm basically a professional. I'm not. I really am not. But anyway, the mindset at this point in the race is, what's my situation? What have I got to lose? What have I got to gain? You weigh it up. You think, Do I try anything risky in terms of the strategy? Is it worth it? Especially at a circuit like Spa, you don't really want a lot of time spent by yourself. You've then maybe got to be a little bit more reactive than proactive, but it also gets to a point where you have to go for it at some point. So we'll see if any of these guys come in. No, not quite. So maybe a little bit of maybe some people changing tyres at the pit stops. We've seen that before. Last time we were here at Spa, it was Jack Southfield that tried to take tyres and pick his way through the field. Didn't work on that occasion. Could it work on this occasion? Again, we won't know until these guys start to try it. So I suppose with a 40-minute race and a pit window that only is ticked off by fueling up, there's not really a lot of variation that you can do, not really a lot of risk that you can take. But I suppose, again, it is just about seeing what your situation is, how you're going to weigh it up, and of course, how you're dealing with your emotions, no matter what position you are in the race. If you've had a bad one, how are you dealing with that frustration? If you're having a good one, how are you dealing with that pressure to succeed? Maurice Stryker on the back, of course, of Graham Kerr going into Lake Com. They've got a couple of drivers who are in the way that, of course, are both full position and are lapped. But they'd like to get a swift move on for those that have been lapped, and also Marco Violetto going to the inside of Philippe and to 13th place overall as well. So plenty of drivers up, down, here, there, everywhere, left, right, forwards, backwards, diagonal, in the barrier, not in the barrier, on the track, facing the right way and not facing the right way, also in the pit lane. We've just got cars absolutely everywhere and a little bit of carnage.
Yes, we do indeed. Mav Gardner doing a very good job at the moment, leading the way for the AMS, although Philippe is lurking in the background. We're in his BMW. He's got Violetto just ahead of him in the 93 Ferrari, and then Gardner just a little bit further up the road. That's his battle for the top positions in the AMS at the moment. Let's have a look and see what Alexei Degani's going on. Can he get his way past Jack Southfield is the question. I think he might have got himself past Austin. I'm not quite sure. I can't quite remember the order of them. Bad commentator in that regard. But these three still battling on for P number 4. Thank you, Zach, for agreeing. With Van Vingerden, but they're down the road, but they're not quite closing in as much as they would have liked, because they're too worried about fighting amongst each other. There's 4 cars fighting a bit further back from this 3-car fight that's going on. And there's Kerr having to try and find a way past Van Vingerden. There's nothing doing on this occasion, is there? I don't know. Let's see. Does he get a better exit out of the bus stop? He does. He's all over the back of that Porsche, actually. But Van Vingerden seems to have got a good exit as well. So it's fairly equal as they come down towards La Source now. And there's a bit of closeness between the drivers ahead as well. They'll be hoping that they start fighting that little bit more, but it's as they were coming out of La Source and up through Al Rouge and Radion.
Yeah, of course, a difficult complex, and one that you are going to have to be mindful of, especially in slightly dirty air. Of course, not massive in these GT3 cars, but definitely noticeable. You will feel it when you're following a car closely, so you have got to be mindful of that. Francesco Cesali on the back of Yuval Sharon, as this is really turning itself into a race for second. 23 minutes, 22 seconds left of the first round of the Sim Racing Collective PC GT3 Series. We thank everyone watching along, both on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Of course, welcome to Dave Unknown, who's joined us on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. New, of course, to the channel. And of course to Ria Raccoon and everyone else that's watching along as well on the TSRC. We've got Handsome Stu, we've got Kieran Sharp, we've got Andrew Pike, whoever that guy is, plenty more others as well. So make sure you are tuning in, because it's a pleasure it's a pleasure to keep your company. It's a pleasure to hopefully be entertaining you despite a couple of audio issues so far today. But we hope that they have been sorted again, just a couple of technical difficulties on our end. But the racing itself has been nothing short of absolutely fantastic. Francesco on the back of Yuval, and that fight for second is going to be one that's going to develop hopefully for the rest of the race to come. A couple of people heading their way into pit lane. You will be able to know by that little orange box with a 1 in it will turn green, and that's when you know your favourite driver has taken their pit stop.
Yes, and Dave Unknown, one's mate who inspired him to subscribe to the channel, would I'm sure be his favourite driver. Let us know who that is actually, Dave, so we can comment on that. But follow suit, folks. If you've not subscribed, like Dave was a few moments ago, then do so, please. The TSRC channel and to the JP Broadcasting channel. The support goes a long way on both fronts, and we would hate for you to miss out on any TSRC action or any racing action on the JP Broadcasting channel as well. So please do show us all the support you can. Like, subscribe, share the videos and the streams out as well, because they really do help us as a channel, both as the JPB Broadcasting channel and the TSRC. But let's see this battle continuing to go on. I think this is going to start brewing up a little bit. Maurice Stryker's looking very racy in that Honda, Zach, and they're getting very close. Going, taking lots of liberties with the track limits there, though.
Yeah, they're thinking and pushing a lot. You know, they're thinking, where can they, you know, make up time? Elias Schroyer trying to go to the outside of Maurice Stryker and attack, and Stryker's gone in deep, and he's off the road, and he's bouncing over the sausage curbs. He rejoins going into Malmedy side by side with the Porsche, but Elias Schroyer finds his way up and past into 8th place. But yeah, when you push the limits, naturally things are going to start to happen. The car's going to wash out, and you're pushing your tyres. They start to overheat. The tyres start to wear a little bit more. Again, you start to feel that understeer, and well, you try and carry more speed into a corner. Unfortunately, there is a little bit of a cap as to how much speed you can take in, and the car says, physics, mate, that's not really going to happen. So that you have to be careful, drive within the limits of the car, but for the most part, everyone keeping it nice and clean. They have got to be careful though, because those track limits warnings will start to rack up, and once they do, it's a punishing drive-through.
Yeah, it certainly is, and nobody will want to get themselves a drive-through penalty around this track. We've already said before, you'll be spending an eternity in the pit lane as far as racing terms are put in their place. But here's Craig Hewlett, number 4, currently second in the AMS. I think I don't think he is only provisionally, I suppose, as drivers are perhaps coming in for stops and such among the AMS. Not many of the pros really. I think Casali's coming in P3. That'll be interesting for the top battle. He'll be hoping he's not out in traffic when he comes out. Well, the number 97 machine. Here's Graham Kerr again. This is Troyer and Stryker going side by side. Troyer dives into the pit lane in the Porsche to take his stop, and they're going to perhaps try and undercut their rivals in their battle for what will be, I think, 6th place or 7th place perhaps in this race. Here's Hewlett having a little bit of a tussle. I think that was with Hall or somebody coming into the pit lane ahead of him. It's very hard to tell with the timing tower the way that it is. Thompson has checked out in this race. He's in the pits as well with Sharon, so we'll wait to see where Casali comes out, at least comes along on the track as they go along. But lots of drivers diving into the pits now, Zach. Look at all those P's on the timing tower.
Yeah, lots and lots of people finally heading their way into pit lane. Probably the last 3 laps, the next 3 laps are going to be the last 3 laps you are able to take your pit lane stop, because it's a long lap here at Spa. You don't want to risk it, and sometimes you are forced in. So I think the unanimous decision here is to just go slightly over halfway, get into the pit lane, have a splash and dash, go to the end. But still a couple of stragglers that are going long. Again, as I say, they've probably only got between the next 2 or 3 laps to actually make that stop, as Ghiardi getting a little bit rowdy in his fight with Samuel Chumley, who finds his way up on the inside and picking his way past quite nicely in the McLaren 720S. Good move from the 111 into reversion. Very nicely done indeed.
Yeah, it was brave to hold in there for Samuel Chumley, seeing the twists there. We've seen that a couple of times. We saw that with Maurice Stryker a couple of laps ago. It seems that some drivers are just losing the car a little bit, perhaps going into that corner, or maybe the car's just saying, no, I can't go as fast as you'd like me to, or I can't get down on the power as quickly as I'd like to through this particular corner. And we talk about it a lot here with the GT3 Series. Who's that going for a move? I think that's Ghiardi, but I don't think it's going to go. Samuel Chumley looking for a way through as well. There's 3 cars very, very close together on the track, side by side. That's going to be the Lamborghini. Oh, that's Miller, I think, trying to get past Passanisi, and then, oh, here comes Chumley up past both of them. That was a great little move from Samuel Chumley. Saw them fighting, saw the gap open, and he said, that's my position now, make that 2, as he charged his way through in that McLaren.
Did indeed, beautifully done, and great respect shown as well. Marcus Miller here, and you can see the very chrome, very reflective Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2. 16 minutes left of this race, and Ryan Blanchett for Optima Motorsport is trying to find his way up through the order. You can see just in front of him is one of the Italian liveried machines, of course, of the Ferrari, the Nord-Est racing team, with a lot of Italian drivers. Spa-Francorchamps looks to go to the inside, of course, of Chiala, going into the braking zone of Les Combes. Hewlett with a drive-through up in front, unfortunately, for
dear.
them, going long, and they pick themselves up a drive-through. So they're going to be taking 2 runs through pit lane. They've got 1 for their actual stop, and then they've got another one for their drive-through. So a double whammy, even worse. And well, Hewlett's racing the bin.
Yeah, it is. That's going to be a long time in the pit lane. That's going to feel horrible in the cockpit, and the first of the 40 drivers to get themselves a drive-through penalty. Not ideal for this circuit, and I believe we've talked about it before. If you don't serve that penalty, the penalty just gets even worse. I want to say it's 120 seconds from memory. I could be getting that wrong, but we've got 3 cars all very close together. We're following along with Marco Violetto in the 93 machine in the Ferrari. He's got Mav Gardner, your AM 87. They're going to be a little send defensive. Goes Gardner in the Porsche, going to force Violetto the long way around. Gets a little bit archie-barchie with him there. A little bit of paint trading between the two. That's going to invite Philippe in as well. And I think Gardner's thinking about Philippe behind him in that fight. He didn't want to let Violetto pass because he's got him as a bit of a comfort blanket, I suppose. He's got him there blocking off any attacks from Philippe. And actually this fight in amongst the AMs is heated up a little bit, or has at least stayed very interesting over the course of this 40-minute race, as we head on to 15 minutes left and 5 minutes left to make your pit stops. But it looks like everybody's come in now.
Yeah, the vast majority, particularly our big hitters at the front, have all worked their way into the pit lane at some point in this race. Philippe going the long way round. The Croatian has found himself picking up a 3rd position because Marco Violetto has experienced some skill issues, hit the barrier, rejoins the circuit, and goes again in 15th place. Not the way that he would have wanted to begin the final 15 minutes of this race, and definitely not the way that he'd have wanted to lose 14th place either.
No, certainly not. And we was talking about that little that car that was blocking off Philippe from going on the attack on Gardner, and well, it's no longer there now. So this is going to be a nice little fight for the AM win here. If Philippe can get himself nice and close to the back of Gardner and challenge the 805 machine, he's got a bit of a gap for now, and he'll be wanting to get himself past Ian Hall in the 87 machine, because that'll be then another sort of blockage for Philippe just behind in the 96 BMW, who's looking quite racy out there on this track. And we talk about it a lot in this series, but the cars often give drivers certain advantages, perhaps because some cars are more suited to the circuit than others, and some cars like certain corners better, and there's just sometimes it's easier to drive a certain track in a certain car, Zach. And what sort of cars do you think are making good ground, or are fairly suited to this sort of high speed and somewhat technical circuit?
Well, the Ferrari is a very user-friendly car. As you see, a lot of Ferraris on the grid. The Ferrari 296, new addition, of course, to Assetto Corsa Competizione. It's just good everywhere. It's sort of decent in a straight line, decent in the corners, not going to chew you up and spit you out like most other cars will. It just gets on. But of course that, you know, it's a good all-round car. But then obviously you've got cars like the Porsche, which at the moment isn't looking too bad in terms of being quick on the straight. Leighton Austin going side by side with Quinten van Wingerden going into Les Combes. A little bit of contact, and Elias Troyer actually picks his way to the inside. And well, they continued on side by side, the two Porsches. Speaking of the front-ended flat 6 car, of course, not really typically a straight-line speed car. I was about to touch on it being a bit more of a tight and twisty, low centre of gravity front-engine car. So good at, you know, being nimble, but never really one to go for the straights. But then again, it's not doing too bad. Then I'd say maybe the Mercedes and the McLaren, very good cars in terms of the straight line. The Mercedes purely because it's just got raw grunt. And then obviously the McLaren, very slick, very streamlined, very decent in terms of its straight line speed. So I think all of the cars have their pros and their cons. but Spa's a nice balanced circuit. So yeah, of course, it's got quite a dominance in terms of straight line speed, but it's got a bit of everything, which means each car here has its strength to play to in some capacity.
Yeah, certainly. And we've been talking about this fight for the majority of this race, involving Stryker and Vangadin and Troyer and Austin, and well, it's actually finally coming to some sort of fruition as they're all jostling away. We saw some position swapping between them. There's Troyer getting past Vingadin after a little bit of a mistake, coming out of Rivage and into No Name, and there was Austin dropping a few places as well, although I think he's managed to recover a little bit as Vingadin goes deep. That allows Stryker to say thank you very much and snag the inside for the first part of bus stop and claim the position as he exits the chicane. So a nice little opportunistic move from Maurice Stryker, a veteran of course in the TSRC, and it looks like Philippe has got himself into the lead of the AMS race. As far as the timing tower is concerned, as it's all updated, I think it is, and it's been a change of the lead, Zach, in the AMS, and well, that's a shame we missed that actually.
Yeah, it is a shame, but well, you can't catch everything, especially on a 40-car grid. But brilliant job from Philippe. Gardner, of course, has been doing a brilliant job of maintaining control, but Philippe, he's just doing. He just is at the front of the field. I do love that BMW livery though. Honestly, the red, the blue, it looks a little bit like Paul Ricard, granted, but it's a nice livery. I like it. Nice. Anyway,
It's very classic.
yeah, it's just cool. I like it. Anyway, I'll stop getting distracted by absolutely beautiful works of art in the form of the Vulcan horse livery, but we've also got Manuel Leparati on the back of fellow countryman of Giuseppe Zampieri, as the entire population of Italy seem to be on the TSRC grid, but no complaints from us, of course. They're fighting over the podium spot in the AMS.
Yeah, they are. This is your P3 in the AM Championship. Leparati looking racy in the Porsche, but I think Zampieri is going to be making that BMW as wide as he possibly can. But we've still got 9 minutes and 23 seconds of racing. Your pit window now closed, of course, but everybody's come in. That's Miller around at the exit of La Source and finding out just how solid those orange barriers are that we talked about during qualifying as he goes along. And it looks like Philippe is now challenging Hall. He's dropped Gardner by about 1.5 seconds and hasn't got him to worry about, and is making his way for P number 12 now, trying to find the way past the Aston Martin. I think the lone Aston Martin, in fact, as far as all of the car choices go. There's lots of, there's lots of familiar cars actually. McLaren and Ferrari seem to be your familiar faces, as well as perhaps Porsche. There's a few more BMWs than there normally is, but here's Philippe. 96 looks to the outside, no doing there. Can he look to get a better run in car number 96? I don't think so. It looks like Hall's got him covered as far as the exit of the bus stop chicane is concerned, and this battle will have to continue on as they start another lap.
Yeah, not many of them left to go, of course. Only 8 minutes in the opening round of the Sim Racing Collective PC GT3 Series. Couldn't really think of much more of a tongue twister of a series name. Philippe, though, making some progress onto the back of Ian Hall for 12th place in the overall standings. Of course, not going to be any extra points added to his tally, but he's just going for pride at this point. He's just showing off, as well as showing off that absolutely gorgeous livery. Anyway, I'm done. I'm fine. It's all good. We're fine. Everything is okay. Philippe, though, going to the left-hand side. It's the outside line as they head under brakes for Lake Com. He gets an up and under. He might set up the second one as well on the exit. Not quite on that particular occasion. Although I'd be careful, because if he fights too hard, Gardner will be on his case again, and that's probably the last thing he wants.
Yeah, he will, and then it's another battle for the lead, and they're in separate championships as well. He doesn't have to fight him too much, but you tell the racing driver to back off. I wish you so much luck in doing that, because it's never going to happen. As Hall goes a little bit too deep through No Name, that's going to invite Philippe in to the inside of Puon. Can Hall go up and under the BMW? No, he can't, and that's Philippe finally up into P12 on the road as he gets past, and I think he'll be happy to get that one. He's got some clear air now. He doesn't have to look behind him either. I don't think he's going to have much of a challenge from Hall, it seems. He's been very racy in that BMW, and he'll be continuing up the road. I don't know if he'll be able to get anywhere near to Ohar in P11, but I think he'll be happy to win the AMS and come P12 as well.
That's the most important thing, right? Again, there are obviously plenty of other series out there in sim racing. Some of them have an overall standing, so P1 and P40, no matter if you're pro or AM, wherever you finish, that's the amount of points you get. Some of them have pro, some of them have AM, so first and pro, first and AM get the same amount of points, obviously for different championships. The way it works in TSRC is the latter. Pro, AM, separate point standings. So Philippe, he could win the overall race and he'd get the same amount of points. It'd be cool to see him win the overall race, but he would just get the same amount of points box standard for a win in the AMS. So he doesn't really gain anything for finishing 12th, 11th, 10th. As long as he finishes ahead of Mav Gardner and the rest of the AMS, he will be taking the first victory of season number 6. And talking of first victories in season 6, Bailey Thompson doing a brilliant job out in front. That is Paolo Cisco and Giuseppe Zampieri. Once again, 2 of the Nord S racing teams, or NERT, as they like to put in the acronym in their team name. The Italian liveried cars, once again, in full force out there on track. Once more fighting, this time for 4th places. Leporati got through a couple of laps ago. We've now got Zampieri and Paolo Cisco battling away amongst themselves for 17th overall, but more importantly, 4th place in the AMS.
Yeah, you'd certainly be hard-pressed to miss those cars out on the track or among the grid as well. Those vibrant greens and that lovely red as well, with that striking stripe of white down the middle, of course, making up the Italian flag as the McLaren gets past the I think that's the BMW there. That's Cisco getting past Zampieri, who actually got dropped by Leporati, who now is on the podium for the AMS. Cisco will be putting his foot down, trying to close down the gap. It's 3.1 seconds. Can he do it? I don't think he's got the laps. I think we've got about 2 more laps. Here's your leader then. We've not seen much of him since the opening laps of the race. A little bit shaky, but he's got 11 seconds ahead of Sharon. He doesn't have to worry too much about Sharon closing up to the back of him. But of course, if he makes any major mistakes, we saw that last season, didn't we? Who was it? It was, I want to say it wasn't Southfield. It was somebody else who spun during their pit window. I'm gonna have to try and remember who that was as we go through. But of course, anything can happen. But we've only got a few laps left now. I think with a 2-minute 20 lap time or so. I think this would be our penultimate lap as Maurice Stryker crosses the line.
Awesome stuff. And, well, I have been told that I'm actually lying. Awesome. Cheers. Brilliant. Yeah. Well, I'm in the bin. Brilliant. Great. Basically, they have an overall standings for this season as well, as SimGrid sort of released the feature a couple weeks back. So I wasn't wrong. I didn't lie. There was just a little bit that I missed out.
Misinformed.
It's like when you tell your mum where you've been over the weekend, and you sort of say, "Oh, I was with a friend," and she says, "So what were you doing?" I was just with your friend. Not lying. You just missed out a lot of stuff. Anyway, basically, it's an added feature that SimGrid added. So I suppose more for intrigue than anything, just to see sort of where the AMs rack up over the course of the whole season relative to some of the pros, and obviously for the pros with the AMs. As well, could be quite interesting to see. So yeah, there we go. Very interesting stuff. Cheers for Kieran Sharp for correcting us and making sure that we aren't misinforming you guys on the broadcast either. We're on to the penultimate lap of this race, by the way, with 3 minutes left to go. Maurice Stryker and Elias Troy fighting away over 8th place. Plenty more battles left to come, and that's the thing I love about the TSRC, is there's battles all the way through the race.
Yeah, there is, and it's all up and down the grid, especially with 40 cars. There's plenty of action to be commenting on and watching as we tick down the laps of this race. And this has been one battle that's been going on all race long. Elias Troy and Maurice Stryker have been dragging each other along in this race, and have been very close to one another as they've gone along.
Yeah, indeed so. And, well, cheers to the lovely population of our YouTube chat. And, yeah, I love it. I love the banter that we have. It's great. It's the most amazing, love-inspiring, flattering banter I think I've ever been able to have the pleasure of. We've got Handsome Stu, Andrew Pike, and Kieran Sharp, who all, they just bounce off each other. it's grim. Like, it's so funny. Obviously, they're giving us some great entertainment, but they're absolutely slandering. Well, I was about to say slandering us. They're not slandering us. They're slandering me. But they just go. One person says one thing, one person says the other. It's just dominoes, and it's going around in circles and circles and circles. And fair play to them. It's great. I love it. I love reading it and just sitting back in awe at their just them, just them all. They're all just chill. They're all right, guys. They've done all right by me, and I've probably only annoyed them a couple of times over the course of my years stay with them. Of course, hopefully more to go. And I've just been told he's my favourite, and I don't have favourites, Stu. Well, I don't have favourites. It's not Kieran because he's ginger. But I don't have favourites. Why would you do that to me? Of course I don't have favourites. I love you all equally. But yeah, so that's my answer, and I'm going to cop out of that one before I get in more trouble.
I think the problem is, Zach, you open yourself up for attack from the likes of Andrew Puck and Handsome Stu out in the chat, who love to be a bit of a wind-up merchant in the chat as we go. I'm just taking a look at the track map. I think this is maybe our final lap.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. It's going to be close.
I'm just warning you.
It is.
You said open yourself up.
I
would just like to remind you.
Coming through.
Oh. One more. We're getting one more.
We're going for one more. One more lap. Yeah, he's just crossed. There we go. So this is your final lap of the race, it seems. As there's a slow car in front of Thompson. He's got one more tour of the Spa circuit to go, and he's been leading very dominantly this race. We've not seen much of him on this occasion, and he's 13 seconds ahead of Sharon. There's a few little battles going on, but I think they've petered out a little bit, and I think Thompson will just be enjoying this final tour of the circuit, Zach.
I say so as well. It's just another lap of fun. Yeah, I did try to warn you, Kelsey. Obviously, Discord lag hasn't helped us in that regard. But any innuendos, any euphemisms, any twisted words said in the presence of not so innocent minds will be very much twisted by Handsome Stu and obviously by Andrew Pike. Again, they bounce off each other. Maybe sometimes, literally, I don't know, whatever they get up to in there away from YouTube. But yes, be careful. Just tread carefully, because there's some things we're not allowed to say, and some things we'd get very much in trouble for, and some things we probably won't get renewed for another season of the TSRC with if we ended up saying them. So tread carefully, you lot. Be careful. I need the money. I'm an apprentice. Okay, please. I earn more money doing this than I do at work, which is kind of sad. But anyway. Ian Hall on his final tour of Spa as well. The time is 6:0. We are on to the final lap. And, well, what a race it's been. I mean, we've got two fairly runaway winners, but sort of in the best way possible. They both very much deserve their success.
Yeah, they do. They've been very great. Looked very racy as they've gone. And this is it. Here is Bailey Thompson coming through, doing a little drift, I think, showing off there, Zach, in the McLaren as he's gone through. And that might have been lag, but it was definitely quite impressive if it wasn't. But yeah, it's definitely lag. Look at him sliding his way through. But coming down towards the line to win the opening race of the season is Bailey Thompson in the McLaren, taking the win in the pros. And here is Yuval Sharon, the Swiss driver, coming around the final corner. Now he's going to be P2 and on the podium as well, joining Thompson. Then there'll be Casali coming around to finish off his race as well. That's your top three in the pros. What a nice little race it's been for those guys. Big congratulations to them. And I think a few more minutes down the road, there's a lot of other drivers. Can Leighton Austin make up a place at the end? No, Kerr's got him covered off. Here's Elias Troyer though. He's battling with Vingerden and Stryker. Who's going to come across the line in this one? I think Troyer just about got it. I think that was a lapped car there as well. But here is Violetto. I think Philippe as well. He's coming close to crossing the line in 96 machine to end off his race. But this is Violetto fighting with Mav Gardner all the way to the end who is currently in P2 for the AMS is Gardner, and Violetta, of course, P14 or 13, I suppose, if you want to count it that way, or I think actually 11 for the pros. But Philippe's crossed the line now, and Gardner as well, P2 with Leparati, and there's a bit more racing going on, Zach.
Yeah. Oh, a bit more crashing going on as well. Michael Hess and Samuel Chumley come to blows as Chumley, fair play. He's held that quite nicely. I'll give him that. That was all right. That's all right by me. Of course, Marcel Hess says, "Oh my goodness me, late as you'd like on the brakes." Basically, just chooses his braking point, comes to blows with Borrielli across the line as well. Gives the Ferrari a slowdown, and is probably going to nick the position for good measure as well. Oh, lads, rein it in a bit. But, well, that was something on the run to the line. Jim McGowan as well, going to be one of the final drivers to bring it across the line as well for Sen City in a very nice purple Ferrari 296 as well. What an opening to the season, it must be said. And, well, I'm looking forward to the next 5 weeks.
Yeah, certainly. Jim McGowan running the same livery he did last season as well. It's a nice livery, that sort of black and purple. It's a very animated looking livery, isn't it? So it's a very nice one. And Ghiardi, I think he'll be one of the last finishers. Stop go 30 for Kyala in P number 31. That's not going to help out the race time for him. But that's it. That's all your drivers across. We'll run you through your grid one final time tonight. It's Bailey Thompson, the winner of the pros, with Yuval Sharon and Casali lining up either side of him on the podium. Then we have Degani in P4 and Jack Southfield rounding off your top 5. Then there's Graham Kerr, Leighton Austin, Elias Troy, Maurice Stryker, and Quinton van Vingeren rounding off at the top 10. And then we have De Oha, D. Philippe, Ian Hall, Leto, Gardner and Leparati, with Philippe being your winner for the AMS and Gardner and Leparati rounding off that podium. Then we have Paolo Cisco, Giuseppe Zampieri, Ryan Blanchette, Marcel Hess, Borelli, Samuel Chumley in P number 22 as we wait for the grid to go all the way down to the rest of the cars. Then we have Jim McGowan, Ghiardi, Passanisi, Miller, Brown, Hewlett, Wright, Pryor, Zanchi, Raya, Aligna, Rovik, Gamello, Kyala, Sharon, Martini, Mirtaj, and Artucha rounding off the grid with those last 5 or 6 even not finishing the race. But a great little opening round there, Zach. I think set the stage for the next 6 races to come. Of course, we've got the 2 races in the sprints when we go to the UK. I think it was Donington Park, wasn't it? But any final thoughts from you, Zach, before we finish off?
Give me more. Give me more. Yeah. Thursday evenings are a lot of fun. Again, we have the banter, we have the racing, and it's all right. I do enjoy coming back here week in, week out in order to commentate on some awesome action, because these guys, they know how to do it well. There's action, there's fighting, there's carnage, there's chaos, there's everything in between. And there's also a brilliant calendar. As we say, in a week's time, we'll head to the Nürburgring, Imola, Donington Park, Watkins Glen and Kyalami for the season as a whole. It's been amazing once again, to share the commentary booth with you for another season. Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back in a week's time.
Well, that's the good thing, Zach. There is more on the way, and you can catch it all here on the TSRC YouTube channel and on the JP Broadcasting channel as well. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you like and share along as well. All the support does help us out. But that's it for round number 1. We'll see you again next week. It's been myself, Kelsey Gill, Zach Sweeney and Kieran Sharp in the booth, giving us all of the camera angles and all of the action on the track, talking you through everything this evening. And from the 3 of us, it is a very warm good night.